Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. In this video, I'm actually going to go through 8 of the future contracts. I'm going to go through gold, crude, the Dow, the ES, the Nasdaq, the Aussie, the British pound, and the euro. So we're going to start over here with the gold contracts. And as you can see, we have went up and tested this high over here. And you can see we did not get above it. So we have an increase in volume that was unable to achieve a higher high. Price went down from there, came back to the ATR, and has done so on diverging volume. So I would expect gold to go back and try to retest this high. Now, in order to do that, it's going to have to break through this area of resistance and this area of resistance here. If it fails to do that, or if buyers fail to come into the market, then we could see gold go down to 1209 or to around 1204 area. So that's what I would be looking for on gold. Now on crude, we have formed a very strong area that should support price to go up. You can see I've got 3 lines here. If you were part of the Saturday webinar, then you know what these lines are for. We identified the colors on Saturday. So you can see that we have pulled back to 3 of these lines, plus we have an ATR. Now, you can also see that you have volume divergence on this low here. So I would be anticipating crude to go up, may even go back and test the $51 area. If it goes through these areas, it will come back and retest it and then go to right at 51. So that's what I would be looking at for crude this week. Okay, let's go on to the indices. Once I get this one moved. Let's see what the indices are going to do. Now this is the Dow Jones, and you can see that we have made a low here. This was a sweet spot. As y'all know, I love trading the sweet spots because that's where you make the most money. And you can see we have 2 areas of support for price to go up. We're also right at 70 on the ADX, and we do have diverging volume. So I would anticipate the Dow to go up to 18,156, maybe 18,172. The ATR will pull down. So I would be anticipating a retracement right now on the Dow. Then I would need to read the volume as it approaches either the ATR or these 2 red lines is on my chart. So we may see initially some upward movement, but depending on how the volume does on the up movement, we may actually see some downward movement thereafter. On the ES, we're pretty much seeing the same thing. You can see that we have made new lows. Okay, now on the ES, the only difference is it did make a lower low, on increasing volume, but at the last moment the buyers actually came in and pushed above 0. So that's probably why we're getting this retracement. We could retrace to 2107.75, 2109, or even as high as 2111. And then we would need to analyze the volume as it approached any of these areas. The main area that I'm concerned about is actually the 2109 area, because that is the area that resisted price before. Now let's go and look at the Nasdaq. And on the Nasdaq, you do see we do have the magenta peak in. We did get diverging volume here. We have a magenta peak. So we are anticipating a retracement back to the ATR. It's going to have to actually break through 3 areas of resistance. I believe the ATR will come down and settle either at 44.53 or 44.50, depending on how slow the market is. And I would want to analyze the volume. If we have a divergence in buyers, then more likely than not, the market's going to go down. The next market I'm going to analyze is actually the Aussie dollar. Now this is the future contract, so be aware of that. Now you do see that we made a high here, came back and tried to test that high here. It did it on a large increase of volume, but it was unable to take out this high. The result of that was fall back down to the ATR. Not seeing a lot of buyers coming in here at all. Of course, then again, just as it came back to this ATR, we also see a divergence there. So that was late Friday afternoon. Now, sometimes we do get that on a Friday afternoon. So what I would be looking at is when it opened on Sunday, if it's able to break this ATR, and from the looks of it, it may not be able to do that. If it does not, we could see price go up to 78.36 or 78.40 on the Aussie dollar. If it breaks through this area, this will be your sweet spot. And it will go from 78.43 up to about 7,900. I would love to see that because I love trading the sweet spots. Not quite there yet, though. Over on the British pound, you can see that we've got an area of resistance. It has broken through, but it's not supporting price yet. Now, it has come back to this other red line here, and it's done it really on a lack of selling volume. So I would expect it to at least go up to this orange line at 54.71, and then I would need to analyze the volume once it gets there. Now, the last currency future that I'm going to go over is actually the euro. You see that we have one of the sweet spots here. This is when I love trading, is when we get this big sweet spot. So what I'm looking for is right now there's no sellers in the market. So I would like it to go and break this red line, test it to make sure there's support, and then I would love to get a trade from about 12.40 up to 13.30. Now, I will need to analyze the volume as it approaches this red area to ensure that buyers are stepping in and sellers no longer have control. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the preview of the market for the upcoming week, and I look forward to seeing you in the trading room on Tuesday.